understand what a conflict of interest is. It means that someone has two different obligations, perhaps professional and personal, that are in contrast, because it's a common business issue. Somebody has two different goals, and it's not possible to do an equally effective job achieving both goals. And we might all find ourselves in conflicts of interest. It's not a legal situation. It could be as innocuous as someone's coaching their child's hockey team. So there's the goal of helping all the kids have a good time, helping the kids win the game, with wanting the child to succeed. So it could be as innocent as that, or it could be something that compromises the health of a business. So we would define it as a situation in which a person is in a position to derive personal benefit from actions or decisions made in their official capacity. And just the appearance of the conflict of interest is enough, because we would be worried, well, did they do this for the company or did they do this for themselves? Did they do it for the country or just for themselves? And once there's that appearance, it's hard to resolve it. So here we have a little cartoon that I like. The health inspector is arriving at Antonio's Pizza, and so his duty as the health inspector is to give an objective evaluation of whether the restaurant's suitable to open. But here Antonio's giving the health inspector all kinds of food and all kinds of benefits and maybe a bribe. So did the health inspector pass the restaurant because it truly was healthy, or because of all these extra personal benefits? So understanding that if someone were to walk in and see the health inspector eating a big meal at Antonio's, it would appear, that they are in conflict, and we don't know if they're deriving personal benefit or doing their professional job. Here is another example. The doctor's making a prescription, and he says, well, I just bought shares in this company, here's a prescription. Well, did he give you the prescription because that's the medication that would best help the patient, or because he's a part owner of the company? So this often happens, and the patient in this cartoon would never really know, and they'd never totally feel comfortable. Now, it could even escalate to fraud, like perhaps the doctor really knows that another medication is better, but pushes the one that they're personally connected with because of their personal interests. So this is when people's professional duties conflict with their personal interests. So here's an example, several examples, and you can watch the clips to learn more. In the 2008-2009 financial crisis, there are these regulators, Standards & Poor's, Moody's. They're supposed to give impartial evaluations about investment securities, so that the average person can look at this and say, okay, Moody's gave this a rating of AA or AAA or C, meaning that it's junk, and they can use, it's supposed to be reliable information. However, the companies that were making the securities would pay Moody's and S&P to do the ratings. So if you gave them a bad rating, they probably wouldn't ask you to come back. So there's the, to get more business, there's the incentive to give a high rating, and then there's the other duty, the fiduciary duty, to give an accurate rating for investors. You can watch some of these. Here's another example. 2017, Wells Fargo was pushing employees to upsell customers. So the bank tellers would ask people to sign up for accounts that weren't needed because their compensation was tied to selling extra accounts. So they had on one hand the duty to be honest with the customer and provide the best service. On the other hand, they had their own personal goals to get bonuses and to be promoted up the ladder. And as a result, they pushed many bad, unnecessary accounts on their customers. Recently, Wolverine Meatpacking Plant has had some health issues, including during the COVID-19 crisis. So they're supposed to be healthy and follow safety procedures and follow the law, but it seems like whenever those get in the way of making a profit, they overlook the health and safety to keep the plant open, even though they know there might be an E. coli outbreak or a COVID outbreak. So they're goals for profit interfere with their obligation for public health, and it's caused some issues over the years. In Flint, you can see here there's a water bottle with some of the Flint water, and it definitely doesn't look like anything someone would want to drink. You know, there was high lead content, especially in at-risk, low socioeconomic status neighborhoods. So, how did that come to be? Well, the city officials were told to lower costs, and they had the one goal to lower costs. They also had the other duty to provide public services to all citizens of a high quality. So which suffered? Well, the duty to provide good quality water to all citizens in Flint, because they were under extreme pressure to lower the amount of the budget, and they chose an unreliable supplier, someone who was not recommended because it was the cheapest on the market. So you can watch that video and see a little bit more about how the conflict led to a bad decision. And you could also just reflect in your own life. What other times have you witnessed someone be torn between two different goals? Maybe one personal, one professional, or they might have two jobs, or they might be their bonus might be something that's different from what's in the long-term best interests of the company. Is a bit of a teaching school-related conflict of interest. In the U.S., there's a movement to tie teacher compensation to test scores. So would this be good? Some people would say, yeah, it would be good. You know, it would encourage teachers to go all out and give all their effort to help their students. Fair enough. But then on the other hand, what if teachers just taught to the literacy test or taught to the EQAO test and ignored other important curriculum or other important skills? You know, their bonus, the teacher's compensation, would be tied to the literacy test or the EQAO, and that would be their focus, and they might ignore other important parts of the curriculum. So students could possibly excel on those standardized tests, but they might not do as well in the whole holistic aspect of the curriculum, because the teachers are focusing on what gives them a bonus, not what gives the students the best education. You know, so we all get in a lot of conflicts of interest. When you're after you watch this screencast, pick one of the videos here and review it, and then look into it. Who's in conflict? What are the two conflicting obligations? And you can pick whichever one you want, the article or any of the videos, but give it a watch and think about the conflict of interest.